What's mentioned in the law
Who
is
elected
the
that?
child's gender identity and expression.
King
and the
Kong
parent's
bitchy.
affirmation of that, whatever it is, because that is our duty as parents to affirm our children.
Now, just to be clear, that's not the duty of a parent to affirm and just tell them whatever they want. The path to mutilating kids is a horrendous one. This woman just doesn't give a rat's ass. So California, they now have a legislature, a bill, I guess, that's passed. Oh, it did. It passed the legislature.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure we were going through. We wanted to make sure it passed. So it's AB 957. All references are available at loudestcrowder.com.
Jeez.
This bill now, remember when we were removed from YouTube for saying they're coming for your children? We said those exact words, and that was a suspension on YouTube. So this bill, AB 957, actually penalizes a parent who does not affirm their child's stated gender identity.
Although it's called the TGI bill,
Whoa.
they're not mentioned anywhere in the law. What's mentioned in the law
Who
is
elected
the
that?
child's gender identity and expression.
King
and the
Kong
parent's
bitchy.
affirmation of that, whatever it is, because that is our duty as parents to affirm our children.
Now, just to be clear, that's not the duty of a parent to affirm and just tell them whatever they want. The path to mutilating kids is a horrendous one. This woman just doesn't give a rat's ass.
Well, sometimes you gotta cut a mother.
No.
Whoa.
Wait, was that her before she cut her hair?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, she was supposed to, there's red pill or blue pill. She wasn't supposed to eat an entire bowl of them. It's in her rider.
Stop eating.
Every pill.
Bowls of all the pills.
I thought a parent's job was to not necessarily affirm every single action by your
Yes.
child or belief, because my child sometimes thinks he can fly and
Yes.
he can't fly.
And by the way, children lie all the time.
do.
When people say, oh, children, they're so pure of soul, they're so innocent. That is I used to worry when I was becoming a father, like, man, how do you teach kids all of these concepts? How do you teach them, like letters, language, and then also right from wrong? And then you realize there are certain concepts that are innate. Lying is one of them.
Built in.
Misleading.
Yeah.
Again, I have twins, and here's what it is with my son. If he says, yeah, that means he's enthusiastic about something. If he says, yeah, that means he's lying to get something.
There are different yes.
Yes. He just did it the other day. He threw his sister under for no reason at all, other than he wanted another. It's like a Nutrigrain bar for kids with Elmo on it.
Well, it's covetousness.
Yeah.
They want everything they don't have.
I was like, remember I gave you one to give to your sister? Yeah. Did you give it to her? Yeah. You didn't. I know you didn't.
But my sister has a vagina. I want one too.
Yeah, I want one too.
Oh, sure, Johnny. Let's take you to the store.
Yeah. Don't worry.
The kids are stupid.
Let's put it off to tomorrow. So if Newsom signs this bill into law, it would be, quote, in the best interest of a child for a parent to affirm a child's gender identity in family court cases. So this is the pressure that is applied. Let me read you some quotes. The health, safety, and welfare of the child includes, among other comprehensive factors, a parent's affirmation of the child's gender identity or gender expression. Now, this can factor into custody battles, visitation, child support.
All you have to do. Dad doesn't affirm the gender. Then case closed.
And then they say, why are you so obsessed? It's like conservatives are obsessed with gender. Are you secretly queer? No. I just don't want to lose my children or the ability to visit them because I don't want to mutilate their genitals at 7 years old. I think it's relevant. I'm responding to you, forcing this, permeating every single level of government. And before you just say, that's just California, right? These are just extreme. And this is why I don't both sides of this stuff.
No.
You cannot find someone, the DNC on a national level, who is opposed to it. Just take it straight from the former vice president's mouth.
To parents of transgender children, affirming your child's identity is one of the most powerful things you can do to keep them safe and healthy.
Yeah, you know what? I would say actually the most powerful thing is a .357 Magnum to blow away pedophiles.
Yeah, that's very effective.
Can we play it again, please?
Yes, please do.
To parents of transgender children, affirming your child's identity is one of the most powerful things you can do to keep them safe and healthy.
What if you're affirming the other way? What if I don't want to affirm you're straight?
Yeah.
What happens then? You still get taken away from you?
I don't know.
No, you're gay for sure.
Yeah, you're
boy.
gay.
Yeah.
Well, that might just
I don't
be
know, Mom. I
abuse.
think I'm straight.
I think I'm straight. No, you're gay. What? Yeah, I know.
I had not seen that clip.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that one.
Well, he also said it was evil when he was interviewing.
Yeah, I remember that Dylan Mulvaney thing, talking about the evil. But one of the most powerful things that you can do as a parent, if you're
to fuck up your kid's life.
Exactly. Is to keep them in the group of people who have a higher rate
42%
of suicide
attempted suicide rate
than
pre and
prisoners in
post-transition.
Auschwitz.
Yes.
Do you understand that? That we're not joking around. Slaves and prisoners in Auschwitz who knew death was coming, and it was a slow, painful starvation kind of death, not a quick gun kind of death. They didn't commit suicide when presented the opportunity at as high of a rate as these people do.
The only people who do are paranoid schizophrenics. The other statistic that we've covered before is the vast majority of kids. I've seen it as low as 87. I've seen it as high as 98%. Grow out of it if you just don't.
Exactly. It's not loving to do this. And for the former vice president of the United States to get up and say that to parents, for that to be the position of our government, is absolutely criminal.
It's the position of they just can't do it on a national level yet. They want to do it in California. They've already, remember, in Washington State, right? The law keeps runaway minors seeking gender-affirming care. It keeps them away from their parents. Remember, it actually helps.
You weren't allowed to
estrange
tell
them from their parents. You weren't allowed to tell. If parents said, "Hey, I'm looking for my kids," if the child says, "No, I'm getting gender reassignment surgery," and my parents didn't support it, guess what? You now don't know where your kids are. It's like the first 48 with fake dicks. Wow. So I guess what's in the best interest of the child is just unvarnished, unfettered confusion.
He's a she. He's a she. He's a she.
That man is now head of CPS. Hit the like button if you're watching on Rumble and you would like to see a federal ban on child gender transition.
Yes,
the next person running for office, a federal ban, period.
On child. Listen to that word, because I know that this is going to get taken out of context. They want to ban it. No. Child.
Yeah, I don't give
use that voice because that's the voice they're going to use against me. It wasn't me. He's going to soundboard it. I know he will.
I'm a female.
Stop it. Let's go.
No one cares what you want to do as an adult. No, actually, that's not true. I do. I do.
A little bit.
I do.
If you want to be an idiot,
no, I do. There's my line at this point. I do care as an adult. If you want to do something in your private, but if you demand that we use your pronouns in public, and no, I do. I'm not going to do it. You don't get to reconstruct society because we're doing. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go along with it. I'll be respectful. I will use your name. But yeah, no. You have. Where's the line, guys? Let me ask you this. Where's the line? Was the line at we'll use any pronouns that adults want? Or was the line at same-sex marriage? But do you think that maybe that was the line when we were talking about same-sex marriage back then, where people were saying, hey, you're going to make men and women fundamentally interchangeable? Do you think the line, decency laws? Where do you think the line is that has ended up with us here? There's not much more of a slope to slip outside of, supporting pedophilia actively once you've gone on to transitioning children. I don't know how it can get much worse. Transitioning children and taking children away from parents who don't support it. Where was the line? There was a line somewhere, and this is the problem with libertarianism. At some point, we all have a line. Where do you think we crossed it? And by the way, there's been some opposition to this. A notable one, a detransitioner who, remember on YouTube, we were not allowed to cover detransitioners for a while.
No, it doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist. This is Chloe Cole said, the issue is wildly unpopular, yet the California governor pushes forward with more and more radical policies. And by the way, it's not just this current bill. They have several bills aimed at parents in California. Again, all the references available at Louder with Credit. I make them all available. You can see it in the description below. Bill AB 5 from the California Department of Education includes, quote, an online training delivery platform and an online training curriculum to support LGBTQ cultural competency training for teachers and other certificated employees. AB 655 takes keeping secrets from parents to a whole other level by requiring, quote, the professional person treating or counseling the minor to consult with the minor before determining whether involvement of the minor's parent or guardian would be appropriate. I don't know if you remember this, but it used to be that a parent would determine if a child needed counseling. My grandfather died when I was very young, and I was very close to him. He was like a second father to me. And my mother determined that I should go see the school guidance counselor or whatever it was. And all we did was I would get a free period and we'd play pool. Nice. And I used to do impressions for him. And he said, you know what, your son's pretty sad, but he's pretty well adjusted. And you know what, he does a pretty good Bobcat Goldthwait. That's what he said to my mom. I don't know that I do.
You got to prove it.
I don't know if we want to transition children for the fake cock.
Not bad.
All right.
I haven't done it in a while. So this is they now get to determine if a parent will be involved in a child's transition because the teachers and the guidance counselors are more important. Hey, we're not allowed to say this on YouTube, but they, meaning the left and the LGBT, they're on the hunt
There are children here somewhere. I can smell them. Aha!
Don't go see that movie in 3D if you're a child.
Don't do it. It'll really freak you out. So I was reading some of the text in that overlay when you brought it up. That was for grade 7 and above. They were doing some of these changes about education, right? So 7, and people are like, oh, it's 7th grade. I'm like, do the math.
12.
That's a 12-year-old, right?
12-year-old.
If it's anything like here in Texas, it's 12-year-old, maybe 13 at the most. There's a local school district. I was having lunch with a friend recently who said a teacher at a local school district was asked 3 times to not hide, not answer the question, to actively lie to parents in meetings about their child transitioning without their parents' knowledge. In a pretty heavily Republican area, 3 times. This person was in 8th grade. That's probably a 13-year-old child right now, and the school's policy is you will lie to the parents. Not that you will avoid the question. Not that you will stay neutral on the issue and try to dodge it and say, talk to your child. You will actively lie to the parents.
Yeah.
You will have
This is
your
happening.
nose broken.
We are looking into this. Like our undercover unit is actually going to start looking into this. This is probably happening in far more places than you know about.
Oh, we are
places
working
you
on
thought.
some right now. And by the way, you can support it. There's only one way to support it. Sign up for Mug Club. You get all the daily content, but you also support the Mug Club Undercover, our investigation unit. We're not beholden to nonprofit strings. We can investigate anything we want. Our eyes and ears are everywhere, and that's very important. When I was 12, I'll tell you this: I didn't shave. I only grew peach fuzz on my face.
Yeah.
Starting at 18, at 12, the point is I wouldn't change in a locker room.
Neither would I.
I was a late bloomer. I was like a hairless mouse.
I thought I liked a girl who didn't wear deodorant.
Really?
Yeah, her name was Courtney. She broke up with me as a whole thing.
You didn't think you liked her. You dated her.
Yeah.
You dated no deodorant Courtney?
Yeah. She was
Stinky Courtney. Stinky
well,
Courtney,
nobody called her that. They just called her Courtney.
Sorry.
Because I didn't know any better. But that's the point is I didn't know any better in 7th grade.
When I was really little, I've told this story a million times. I used to, we lived in a small apartment, so I would room with my brother. My brother was 2 years older than me. And I loved it. I loved being his roommate. And he was the older brother, so he didn't want to be my roommate. He wanted his own room. So I wanted to hold him hostage, right? I didn't want him to get his own room. And I noticed that my parents, they shared a room. My uncle and aunt, they shared a room. So I was saying, it can be done. So I told my parents when I grew up but I noticed they were all men and women, male, females. So I told my parents when I grow up, I want to be a woman so that Jordan and I can stay roommates forever. They heard the first portion of that phrase, and my dad was raising his backhand, and he heard the second portion was like, all right, that's cute, but you can't become a woman. I said, oh. He said, yeah, you know what, but maybe if you go to the same college, you'll be able to be. It's a compromise. You'll be able to room in college. I was like, all right, that never happened.
They should have taken you from your parents.
Yes, exactly. They should
Look at how you turned out. You're all messed up now.
Yeah.
So 2 things out of that. 1, they should have affirmed his decision, and 2, somebody's going to clip that and use that against you and say you've wanted to be a woman your entire life.
Yes. I also wanted to be a caterpillar because when I found out that they turn into butterflies, I thought that then I could get to experience being 2 different animals.
What? And get to fly.
Also, I really liked hammocks as a kid, and so I thought, the cocoon sounds fun. So I basically get to live, if I turn into a caterpillar, I get to live my life in a hammock, which I like, on the beach, and then fly. This is the best gig ever.
A hammock made from your butt, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
Where that comes from, but
all right.
Butt hammock.
Remind me for Mug Club only the story about the first time I had the diarrhea. I have a story about it.
On a plane?
No.
Oh.
A poor person. No. I'll tell you, it involved. If I had a gender-affirming parent, they would have made a way bigger deal about it. Just remind me, guys, when we go to Mug Club. Okay.
Diarrhea.
All right.
Mug Club.
All of this will be clipped for CrowderBits, of course. We clip these down into their own segments. But you guys comment if you're okay that we go off topic a little bit. Let me go back to some of the bills. This is AB 1078. It's about diversity in the instructional materials. This bill states, restricting access to classroom and library materials because they feature LGBTQ people or were written by LGBTQ authors, discriminates against LGBTQ people, and constitutes censorship in violation of California law and California policy. So now you can be grateful to know and assured your 4-year-old classroom will have a copy of Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope.
Holy cow.
The first name of that book was Born Freddy. They had to change it.
Yes, exactly. That's good. It's now Weekend at Penelope's.
What?
Here's SB 407. It targets foster parents by requiring, quote, a resource a resource family to demonstrate an ability and willingness to meet the needs of a child, regardless of the child's sexual orientation or orientation. It says that twice, right? Orientation or orientation, so it's poorly written. Gender identity or gender expression. And I know, so you're wondering, how do bills like this get passed in places like California when their legislature looks like this? Yeah.
Hey, it's the wiener dog.
By the way, he made sure that you don't have to disclose your HIV, AIDS, infected seminal load when you have sex with a stranger. Disclosure laws, he wanted to make sure those are a thing of the past because that might stigmatize men who have seminally infected AIDS balls.
Saw that commercial. They said HIV is not a crime.
Yeah.
Well, fucking kinda.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Depends on if you're on the receiving end or
It
not.
is when you shoot it from across the room.
It's not airborne, you mean?
But he didn't use a condom. He had AIDS.
Yes, exactly.
Two different stories.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, this also can be, tied into what we had last week. And thank you for supporting it with Mug Club Undercover and the people over there at. I'm trying to remember obviously Arden was her name. What's the name of the
Sound Investigation?
Sound Investigation.
Yeah.
Sound Investigation. The exclusive on Pornhub, right, where you have politicians who've been pushing this stuff. And in all fairness, just to be clear, not all California politicians are completely insane.
If you love your children, you need to flee California.
That guy's right.
I like that.
100%. Just don't come to Texas with your policies.
Yeah. And with the porn, for people who don't know, we had those videos. I thought we were going to have a clip where they talked about sex trafficking and minors and how there are loopholes and how politicians know about these things. And by the way, there are more slaves than ever in recorded history. They're sex slaves. A lot of them are underage. It's over 40 million people right now across this country. Tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of them trafficked across the border. And you know what? It makes it a lot easier to turn someone into a sex slave. Here, let me ask you this. If you look at everything that the left has pushed, okay, you look at sexual liberation, right? You look at pro-sex work. This is something that they've always discussed, right? Pro-sex work, it's just another line of work. Let's not stigmatize it. Then you look at gender transitioning. Then you look at the idea that children don't need a mother and a father, just two dads just as good, two moms just as good. Then you look at the idea of children transitioning, which of course these introduce hypersexualized notions to children at a very, very young age. All of those things would make a young person far more malleable and easily manipulated into what? Being sexually abused. We used to call it grooming. Now we call it your local school district's curriculum. And here's a guy, by the way, who does know what to do if these school boards do come after your kids.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.